And welcome to the playoffs, folks. This is Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and the Tobs are in the playoffs with a record of 27 and 27. That's right. Their last game, their final regular season game against the Edenton Steamers, got rained out, so the Tobs, who have been sitting right around 500 the entire season, end the season right at 500 with that 27 and 27 matchup. They actually ended the season on back-to-back doubleheaders. They played host to the Peninsula Pilots on Thursday, our Pink Night, which was a part of raising awareness for breast cancer. And the Tobs, well, they won game one 3-1, and it was terrific. Christian Slasnick went 7 innings, allowing just 1 run to pick up the complete game victory. But when he left the mound in the top of the 7th inning after recording all 3 outs, the Tobs were down 1-0. But then Ben Schmucker got a single, and then Matthew Parrish was hit by a pitch. Drew Cole bunted the 2 men over to put runners on second and third with 1 out, and the Tobs down by just 1 run, and Collins Cuthro coming to the plate. He was able to work a 3-1 count before the next pitch hit the outside corner, making that count full. The next pitch was fouled off. I'm in the booth trying to pump things up, trying to lead it in, just looking for that first walk-off hit of the season, and the 3-2 pitch was a hanger, and Collins Cuthro banged it well over the left field wall, over the Fleming Stadium scoreboard for the 3-run walk-off home run, giving the Tobs that 3-1 victory. It was the Tobs' second walk-off win of the season, but the earlier one against the High Point Thomasville High Toms, the winning run came across on a wild pitch, but here Collins Cuthro with his first home run of the season, doing it in style, a walk-off victory. Tobs win game 1 last Thursday against the Peninsula Pilots by a score of 3-1. And then in his first bat of game number 2, Cuthro was able to sneak a ball inside of the fair foul pole for his second home run in as many at-bats. Really, though, the only highlight of that game for the Tobs, as they ended up dropping game 2 to the Peninsula Pilots, splitting the doubleheader. The Tobs would then have a couple of games rained out against the Wilmington Sharks, first on Friday, then on Saturday, before playing host to the Sharks for a doubleheader on Sunday, needing just 1 win, and they got it in game number 1, a 3-0 victory, as Quinn Atwood walked the first batter of the game, then got a double play, and then retired every single batter he faced until there were 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. He was 1 out away from the no-hitter, but he left a 2-1 fastball over the plate. It was hit deep towards right. Ben Schmucker, who had made a terrific play banging up against the wall earlier in the game, was just unable to get to the fly ball. It landed high off the wall for a double, the only hit of the game for the Wilmington Sharks, but Atwood was able to finish off the game, and the Tobs won that game by a score of 3-0 and clinching their first playoff berth since 2010. They then lost the next game against the Wilmington Sharks, which quite frankly didn't matter, by a score of 6-5. I mentioned that game against the Edenton Steamers, which was scheduled for Monday, was rained out, and they end the season at 27 and 27. Head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, doing a terrific job making sure that that team broke that little playoff just that inability to get into the playoffs. They get into the playoffs with that record of 27 and 27. They stand at 500, but now, since the Tobs are into the playoffs, there is no record, no wins, no losses. They will be playing the Edenton Steamers in a 3-game series, with the first game home on Wednesday against those Steamers. Christian Slasnick will take the ball in game 1, and we'll see what he and the Tobs have in store for this playoff run. Well, what we have in store for this next segment of Tobs Talk will be head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay. All that and more on this very special playoff edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, and also presented by Greenlight. And welcome back, everybody, to this playoff edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and with me right now is head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay. And Justin has brought the Tobs to the playoffs for the first time since 2010, a season in which the Tobs really were never that far away from 500, and they end the season at 500. But it has to feel good that you've got the squad into the playoffs. Yeah, making the playoffs is something that feels really good for us right now. It was a goal of this organization from the moment I took over back in October, and for it to come to fruition is really nice. And our guys have really stuck through it and grinded out,
and put us in a good position.
What was the hardest part for you? Roster change, trying to acclimate some of the guys. What was the hardest part for you this summer?
Oh, definitely the roster changes. The turnovers we have, guys leaving, guys getting injured, meeting their inning limits, things like that. Just having to bring in new players and making sure you have enough people on the roster and getting those new guys in and needing them to be ready to go but not wanting to throw them directly in the fire and trying to ease them into it. So that proved to be the most challenging part of the season by far.
Now, because I get to travel on the team bus, I'm privy to some conversations that most other people wouldn't. But I'm also privy to the fact that you had to go through a couple of different kind of techniques to sometimes rein in the team, sometimes kind of just let them do what they had to do. How do you come about making that decision of what tactic you're going to bring for that particular day or maybe that particular week?
Well, you just try to do what you think is going to be best for the team. You look at how they're going. Sometimes you look at them and say, I know they're worn down, they're grinding out, they're getting tired, so we've got to ease back on them and let them have a little freedom. Sometimes you start having a little too much fun and you realize that they are just kids, and you sometimes have to rein them back in and kind of take control and make it a little more structured. That way that they keep getting done what they need to do. So it just depends on, what's happened the last couple of days. Have we won a couple of games? Have we lost a couple of games? Have we played 7 days in a row without an off day? You just have to try to feel the pulse of your team and see what's best for them.
And you mentioned to the team that this is a great opportunity, the fact that they're going to play playoff baseball. You yourself, a guy that has pitched in regionals before, what's the toughest thing when it comes to playoffs? Is it just trying to calm those nerves? What is it?
Yeah, I think just trying not to do too much. I think sometimes we see guys go out and they want to do everything right and they put a little too much pressure on themselves instead of just relaxing and playing the game like they have their entire life. And that's a great situation for these guys to be in, because all these guys are going to be on teams chasing championships this season, whether it's conference, regional, World Series. You can't recreate this pressure in practice. You can only have it in a game when there's somebody else in a different uniform in the other dugout, when there's a trophy on the line. And that's great for them. So it's a time where, I just challenge them to, hey, take a deep breath, relax, and just see how well you can play in pressure situations when you are relaxed. So I think it's going to be a very, very important thing for them.
And the first guy to face that pressure situation is going to be Christian Slasnick, who will take the ball in Game 1 on the bump for the Tobs. And kind of a really easy choice. Slasnick has been at the top or near the top in the CPL, in ERA all season long. What does he do out on the mound that really makes him so effective?
He throws 3 different pitches for strikes. Changes speed well and locates. Doesn't hurt himself with free passes and walks. And just really allows his defense to play. Christian's got strikeout ability, but a lot of times you see him just missing barrels, getting weak contact, and keeping his pitch count low, which allows him to throw deep into games. I think the fact that he's an older guy on the team who's been around college baseball a little bit longer, that's played into his hands as far as knowing how to pitch in this league, plus being here last year has really helped him.
All right, well, Justin, thank you very much for coming on to Tobs Talk this morning, and good luck against the Edenton Steamers, a 3-game series. Game 1, Christian Slasnick, the lefty out of Eastern Illinois University, will be taking the ball for the Tobs, trying to start the Tobs' first ever Pettit Cup playoff run. I'm Jake Donnelly. We'll be back with more on Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. Welcome back to the playoff edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm the voice of Tobs Talk, Jake Donnelly. And with me now, the man that, lets me be on Tobs Talk, the general manager of the Wilson Tobs, Thomas Webb. And Thomas, the Tobs are into the playoffs for the first time since 2010, the first time under ownership group Rick Holland and Greg and Heather Swear. How happy are you that the Tobs are in the playoffs?
I'm very happy we're in the playoffs. I'm really happy for the community of Wilson. We haven't had playoffs since 2010, so I just feel like there's playoff fever in the air in Wilson. And with the support of the fans, support of our sponsors throughout the regular season, the support of our ownership group, it's really made it easy for me and Justin Hay, the head coach. We brought Justin in the very first day, and he knew the goal, and he's succeeded at that. So that makes me happy, and it's a sigh of relief that we are in the playoffs. We've had a lot of pressure on us since I've been here for the past 3 years, and now the fans, I feel like, are really understanding our message and our philosophy and goals, and it's just great to see them happy.
And there's been some rain, there's been some sun, good games, bad games, but it just seemed like this team really never gave up. And as a general manager, you look at all the different players that come in, and from your standpoint, what's the best thing about making the playoffs?
The best thing about making the playoffs is having that extra game. You know you have an extra game, and it just financially, to be honest with you, helps out a lot. But just to see those guys grind it out with us all summer, those guys that understand commitment when they sign that contract to come play in Wilson. And when I sit them down that first day, I tell them, hey guys, you're representing your university, but when you put on that jersey, you're also representing the Wilson Tobs and the Wilson community. And that's what I love to see about it. So these guys that are here with us, grinding it out through the playoffs, it just makes me feel comfortable and happy that these guys want to be here.
And the Tobs, a big part of the Wilson community. Also, another big part of the Wilson community is Greenlight, which of course puts on Tobs Talk here. And Greenlight is going to be our sponsor for the Tobs playoff run, which hopefully lasts a long time. But we're also going to have some stuff at the first game on Wednesday, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely. Greenlight has been a huge supporter of the Wilson Tobs since I've been here, and I think a couple of years before I was here as well. We have the same ideas, the same philosophies about the Wilson community. We're very local. We understand the Wilson community. They understand what the Wilson Tobs mean to the city of Wilson. We provide a quality of life, and they've been a great supporter of ours. And Jerry Stansel called me up right when he knew we made the playoffs and was like, hey, do you have a sponsor for game one? I said, no. He said, count us in. So I was very, very happy when I got that phone call. They're actually going to do their mood cups again this year. We did it, I believe it was last Thursday, had them placed in the beer garden and in concession stands. So it's a little bonus. They were telling me a little bit more drinking these cups than we get in our regular 12 ounce or 16 ounce cups. So we're excited about having Greenlight be a part of this memorable moment at historic Fleming Stadium.
Now, this isn't your first time in the playoffs. You were actually in the playoffs with the Edenton Steamers, which just so happens to be the Tobs' first round opponent. How sweet is it going to feel when the Tobs are able to smoke the Steamers in round one?
It's actually going to feel really good. Funny story there, I was there 4 years ago actually working under a really good friend of mine, Chip Pruden, as the GM there. We went all the way to the championship round and lost. So that's the last time I've had playoff experience. And he's no longer there, but he's still a fan of the Steamers and also a fan of the Wilson Tobs. But we've already been on the phone talking to each other, and it's definitely going to be sweet to see us smoke the Steamers. So I'm excited about it. Like I said, it's the first time as me being a general manager, being in the playoffs, and I got to thank my staff and my coaching staff and the players. Without the players, none of this would be possible, and especially the fans in Wilson as well.
All right, well, the Tobs' first time in the playoffs since 2010, Thomas's first time in the playoffs, and the Tobs looking for their first ever Pettit Cup championship. All that and more on this edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back to this playoff edition, folks, of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. Even more important, the Tobs' entire playoff run is presented by Greenlight, and right now, if this face doesn't look familiar, it's because he's the guy behind the camera usually, the producer of Tobs Talk, Dave Bumgarner. Dave, you're a guy who loves to come out to the games, and for you, what's your favorite part about Tobs baseball?
It's a couple things, actually. I can't narrow it down to just one. First favorite thing, the fans. I've never seen the kind of fans that we have at a Tobs game at any other sporting event ever. I've never seen that kind of devotion or enthusiasm or sign making from any other set of fans. And the other thing that I really like is that when you come to a Tobs game, you never really know what you're going to get. With them playing the way they have this season, it's like you never know, like, hey, they're guaranteed to win because they're playing against, the worst team in the league, or they're guaranteed to lose because they're playing against the best team, because sometimes the exact opposite happens, and that's, I know that a 500 season is a little bit frustrating for maybe some of the players or the coaches, or for you trying to come up with stuff to talk about, but as a fan, it's great because it keeps everybody on their toes, which is just awesome.
Yeah, and it really has been one of those up and down seasons. And for the Tobs, it's a team that finishes at 500 after the last game got rained out. But now in the playoffs here, it's a record of 0-0, and it's the first time you will be able to watch some Tobs playoff baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I've been involved with Tobs Talk now for I think this is the 4th year, and it's definitely cool to be involved in the playoff run. And you know, basically, as soon as I saw that there was a chance for the playoffs, I actually called Jerry and said, Jerry, I don't think they have a sponsor yet. You need to call Thomas and make this happen. I said, because we could basically sponsor the entire thing. I said, look at how much we're already doing with them. It's a no-brainer. He's like, you're absolutely right. Made a call to Thomas, locked it in right then and there, before the Tobs had even cemented their spot in the playoffs.
Right, and the Tobs' first sponsor was the first call that the Tobs got, and all of a sudden, because Greenlight and you guys did such a good job of really getting to us, we'll be able to give away some things at the first playoff game on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're going to have the Greenlight Mood Cups that were a big hit on the last Thirsty Thursday. What's nice is that, you know, any of the cold drinks change the cup from Greenlight Green to Greenlight Blue, which is it's a nice transition. It's reminiscent of like the color changing toys that you'd mess around with when you're a kid. So that's kind of fun.
Or like the mood rings that would change, you just breathe on them a little bit.
Absolutely. Or, you know, if you have no soul, they just turn black.
I had black ones all the time growing up, so that must have been the issue.
Well, now you know why. See, Tobs Talk is not just a chance for people to get together and talk about baseball. It's a chance for you to learn some stuff finally.
Yes, and whether or not the voice of the Tobs does have a soul, it's okay though.
Yeah.
The Tobs having that
Not important.
No, it's really not important, especially here down in North Carolina. Absolutely not important whatsoever. But the Tobs have that first playoff game on Wednesday against the Edenton Steamers, a team that they've won 3 out of the last 4 of, and they've got Christian Slasnick going. I know you've seen this guy pitch, and you must be excited to see some good playoff baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I really am. I feel like, you know, we're going to come out of the gate really strong, and that's important. I think if Slasnick can really keep it together like he's known to do, I think that, you know, we can what's the phrase, smoke the Steamers?
Smoke the Steamers, yes.
I think it is absolutely possible. I think it's absolutely possible.
All right, well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
And, of course, a very serious and not even close to being lighthearted segment of Tobs Talk right here. As the Tobs head into the playoffs against the Edenton Steamers, Tobs looking for their first ever playoff Pettit Cup. All that and more on this edition of Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas & Ferris right here, also presented by Greenlight. And welcome everybody to this very special edition and segment of Tobs Talk. I'm Jake Donnelly, and we're coming to you live from the New Image Barbershop. It's owned by David Davis, and right now I have superfan with the Tobs, Pat Logan. And Pat, if you couldn't tell, has a ton of hair, but in just a moment, all of this is going to be gone courtesy of Cody Hardison. And Pat, how long has it been since the last time you had a real legitimate haircut?
Approximately 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and you've got these long flowing locks coming out the back side of the head here, and we're going to cut it into about 5 or 6 different ponytails, and the hair is going to be donated to Locks of Love. Now, I'm sure folks can recognize you, even though they might not after this haircut, but you're still going to be very recognizable, and it's because of one distinct sound. That's right, folks. If you've been to Fleming Stadium, Pat is the guy with the cowbell. You can hear it everywhere at Fleming, and I mean everywhere. Outfield, left field line, the beer garden, down the right field line, or even in the press box. Pretty much whenever the Tobs do something good, and we're hoping that the Tobs can do a lot of good things, as the first playoff game is Wednesday against the Edenton Steamers. But for right now, we're going to start off with shaving Pat's head. We're going to get those ponytails, donate them to Locks of Love, and we're going to keep Pat's hair in a packet for the rest of the playoffs so long as the Tobs stay alive. So when we come back on this very special haircutting edition of Tobs Talk, we are going to take off all the hair from the head of Pat Logan. All right, so Pat, your hair is getting done up in multiple ponytails right now. How do you feel? Any nerves at all before the hair starts to fall?
No, it's just going to go. That's it. You know, I said I'd do this, and I'm doing it.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing it. It's because you said at the beginning of the season, if the Tobs make the playoffs, which is something they haven't done since 2010, you would shave your head, and you, sir, are a man of your word.
That's right. I said it last year, but somehow by a mathematical doohickey, they did not make it in there.
Pat, you're also wearing a very apt smock right now here at the New Image Barbershop owned by David Davis, and it's got mustaches all over the place. And Pat, if you couldn't tell, is a member of the American Mustache Institute, and I don't think I'm going to read what's on the back of this card, although the first sentence is kind of terrific. As a member of the world's only facial hair advocacy organization and think tank, I hereby pledge to preserve the sexually dynamic mustached American lifestyle. I will fight discrimination against all mustache people and battle the misperceptions cast upon persons of mustache American heritage. Clearly, you are one of these people by the cat-loving, clean-shaven aristocracy. So you're definitely not of the clean-shaven aristocracy, but I heard that you are, in fact, a cat lover, though. So how do you deal with both of those lifestyles?
Well, this stray came into our life about 3 weeks ago, and she's just there. And when something makes enough noise, you're going to feed it till it shuts up.
Is that how you worked with your children?
Yes, yes. Everything works with food. Denial, withholding, and then reward.
A terrific father with a terrific mustache whose hair is just about to be gone, as we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 ponytails, which will just about to be donated to Locks of Love. Cody, man, you're up. Now, the Tobs are going to keep every single one of these bags in a little folder as they make their way through the playoffs looking for the first Pettit Cup victory. And I think ponytail number 1 is just about to go. And there is ponytail number 1. Now that's a pretty long ponytail, Pat. You do have a decent amount of hair there. Just none of it really up around here at the moment. A lot more in the back, and we'll see that. Now, Cody, I don't want to distract you at all, but when's the last time that you were shaving off ponytails, if ever?
I don't believe I ever have like this.
Have you ever done the Locks of Love? I'm sure with a barbershop, that's not something that really comes in all that often.
Not all the time, no. We do more short stuff, but I think it's been since I was in school since I've cut hair this long.
Was that on a guy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've been cutting hair for 9 years, but you've been doing it for how long here at New Image Barbershop?
Almost a year and a half.
Okay, so Cody's been here for a year and a half, and he doesn't just do the buzzers or the scissors. We'll show later. We're going to get the top of Pat real nice and clean because New Image also does the old-fashioned straight shaving as well.
That's right.
Is that your favorite way to shave a guy's head, like take out the straight blade?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, all that and more as we continue to just take off all this lovely hair on top of the head of Pat Logan. All right, Pat, all the hair is gone. We've got 3 ponytails in this bag, 3 in that. How you feeling now?
Feel great. It's cooler.
Yeah, in the summer, it's got to feel real good, huh?
Yes, indeed. It doesn't. You miss it on your ears, but it's gone.
Yeah, it's all gone, Pat. It's all gone. And, of course, it's thanks to New Image Barbershop, owned by David Davis and Cody Hardison, doing the great job here on Pat's head, which right now is about as smooth as a baby's bottom. It's the finishing touches on the lotion. Cody, thank you so much for doing this. Tobs, hairless, going into the playoffs for the first time since 2010.
Amen.
Amen. All right, folks. And welcome back, folks, to this playoff edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly, and I am so happy to bring you a playoff edition of Tobs Talk. The Tobs will be hosting the Edenton Steamers on Wednesday. That game one of a 3-game series, the Tobs going into the playoffs as the 3 seed, while the Edenton Steamers into the playoffs as the 2 seed. The season series between the two teams 4-3 in favor of the Edenton Steamers. Of course, that last game of the regular season was rained out, but also some good news for the Tobs as they have won 3 out of the last 4 against the Edenton Steamers and have really had the Steamers' number after the Steamers, well, they used one big inning through the first 3 games to take all the victories, but over the last couple of games, the Tobs, they have been the ones with the big inning, and we'll see if they can do so again against the Steamers for Game 1 at historic Fleming Stadium. Christian Slasnick, the redshirt junior out of Eastern Illinois University, will have the ball for the Tobs. He was the lone arm on the Tobs who made the All-Star game, as he had the leading ERA heading into the All-Star game. He's also been at the top in the second half in terms of ERA, and the last time out, he pitched a complete game effort against the Peninsula Pilots in Game 1 of a doubleheader, going 7 innings, allowing just 1 run. He was terrific, and so he has been in a groove all summer long. The Tobs, they can really take a stranglehold on that 3-game series by winning Game number 1 at historic Fleming Stadium. Now, the other 2 teams who have made the playoffs in the East Division of the Coastal Plain League, the best team in the CPL, the number 1 seed, and the team that won the second half of the CPL, the Peninsula Pilots, well, they will go on the road against the Fayetteville Swamp Dogs for Game number 1 before returning for at least 1 game in Hampton Beach, Virginia at the War Memorial Stadium. So, seed number 1, the Peninsula Pilots, seed number 2, Edenton Steamers, who your number 3 seeded Wilson Tobs will be playing against, and then seed number 4, the Fayetteville Swamp Dogs, are into the playoffs. So those are your 4 teams out of the East Division. The Tobs, like pretty much every other team they have played so far this summer, either 1 game ahead or 1 game below in the season series. So if the Tobs, you're trying to look a little bit ahead, things looking pretty good. They're 500 pretty much, folks, against everybody. So this is a team which can really surprise people, and that is a big thing because the Tobs, a founding member of the CPL, they've been a member of the CPL since 1997, and yet they have not won a single championship. That's right, 0 Pettit Cups for the Wilson Tobs, but this team, which has been 500 all summer long and has been trading wins with losses, well, guess what? The last game they played was a loss. So if they just kind of continue that and go win-loss, 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 it's all 3-game series. That should play into the hands of the Tobs, and we'll see if they can take care of the Edenton Steamers in round 1 of these playoffs, which starts on Wednesday. It is presented by Greenlight. We'll have some of those really cool mood cups that producer of Tobs Talk, Dave Bumgarner, was talking about. I actually might have one in my apartment, and since I'm a fairly simple person, I like to just pour cold beverages of any kind into them and watch the cup turn from that Greenlight green into that Greenlight blue. So folks, if you want to see some Tobs playoff action, which is something that Wilson hasn't seen since 2010, or if you want some really cool Greenlight gear, including those really cool Greenlight mood cups, make sure you head out to historic Fleming Stadium on Wednesday for Game 1 of the 3-game series between your Wilson Tobs, the 3 seed, and the Edenton Steamers, the winners of the first half of the East Division in the CPL. We're trying to smoke the Steamers here at Fleming on Wednesday and see if the Tobs can bring home their first ever Pettit Cup. Well, folks, this might be the last edition of Tobs Talk if things don't go the way that the Tobs want. And if it is, I would just like to say thank you so much for tuning in all summer long. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself sitting here in this seat up in the booth at historic Fleming Stadium. You guys have made my summer here in Wilson so much fun. Maybe some things I would have liked to have gone differently, but really, this has been one of the best times I have had broadcasting, and sadly, I've been doing this for a while. So thank you for inviting me into your community, and also to everybody at Greenlight, Dave Bumgarner, for doing a terrific job behind the camera, as well as Jerry Stansel. Thank you to everybody at Greenlight for letting me do Tobs Talk and letting me do what I do, which is talk way too much. Game 1 of the 3-game series between your Wilson Tobs and the Edenton Steamers takes place on Wednesday. Well, we'll look to smoke the Steamers. This is Jake Donnelly saying, as always, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you at Fleming.